Welcome to 2022. Tonight we talk about the Louisiana Lottery with the person in charge. And what about broadband? Something's coming. Let's get it going. Roll it, Ed. Rose Hudson is the president and chief executive officer of the Louisiana Lottery Corporation. She has been there 15 years and has presided over immense success at the lottery in spite the last couple of years with the impact of the coronavirus. Rose, how are you?
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Good evening. Hi.
So let's start. You've done so well at the lottery. And we've known each other a long time, a great leader there. But how'd you get to the lottery? I mean, you could have done a number of things. What led you to the Louisiana Lottery?
We hope I could have done a number of things. No, it was such an interesting process. I was working for the legislature. I won't say how many years ago. I'd be dating myself. But the legislature was just passing the lottery legislation.
Right.
And I happened to be sitting in committee next to a man who was charged with getting the lottery off the ground during the Romer administration. And we just became friends. He said, "Do you need a job?" Well, I have one, but I would like a better one.
That's right.
And sure enough, I became employee number 4 of the lottery during the startup.
Right,
and of course, I stayed for a year, scrubbed bathrooms, did everything as a part of that whole, when you're HR, when you have an HR background, you kind of do everything you need to do for the employees. And so for day one, the bathrooms needed to be cleaned. So I did some of that plus some board work and loved it, loved being part of the startup. And
literally worked yourself up into this position. And for everybody who watches it and sees lottery commercials, it's not just scratch-offs and the Powerball.
Correct.
There are a number of areas that you cover for the entire state. Talk a little bit about some of that.
Oh my goodness, our portfolio of games, Pick 3, Pick 4, we've got a new game. Pick 5, we've got another new game, Fast Play, out that you play at the terminal. It's just like, the ticket spits out just like a Powerball or Mega Millions ticket, but it works like an instant win ticket.
Yeah.
So we've just put that out into the marketplace. So we've got a whole portfolio of games out there. Mega Millions is one of our great sellers, and then you mentioned Powerball, our instant tickets. Any one time we may have 20 to 35 instant or scratch-off tickets on the market, always refreshing, always changing. Some very popular ones like our Saints ticket, so.
I've seen you down there. You're always at the Saints game a lot of times, on the field with the players. Let's go back to some of these games. Who comes up with the concept behind some of what you promote and get it out there? Do you have a team that does that, or where does it come from?
So I tease them, I call it what comes out of the lottery laboratory. We've got a group of people in the marketing department, bright, brilliant, smart, and kind of the ear to the ground type folks to know what's fresh, what would be fresh in the marketplace, what's attracting our players. For instance, for so long people thought a scratch-off ticket was $1.
Right.
Well, we do have a $1 scratch-off ticket, but over time it became clear that our players had the appetite for a higher price point ticket. So the team came up with some higher price point tickets, a $10 ticket, but some of the states do 20, 50. I bought a $50 scratch-off ticket in another state. We're not quite there yet.
And look, Rose she's the best ambassador for the lottery. She was telling me and Vaneeth, who's going to be up a little bit ago, that you need to buy your lottery tickets. So, you're all over the state. How does that work? You're based here in Baton Rouge, of course. You have offices in other parts of the state as well?
We do. We have our office in Lafayette, New Orleans, Monroe, Shreveport, and Alexandria. We've got sales reps that work out of all those offices. Of course, you can claim prizes in those offices, but that's really the hub for those sales reps who manage our 3,000 retailer base around the state. So,
we've got a couple minutes before we take a break and come back. One of the things said about the lottery when it was created was that it was going to help public education.
Right.
And then over time, people were questioning whether that was the case.
Yeah.
In 2020 and 2021, you saw your largest contributions to K-12 public ed. Let's talk about how that works.
Yeah. Well, that money is dedicated. But what happened was that money wasn't dedicated when we started almost 31 years ago. That dedication happened later. So by the time the money was dedicated, there had been, I guess, a supplanting of funds. So the money really does go to K-12 education last year, probably $207 million, but it's not money on top of what was already being spent on public education.
So did that happen under your watch, the putting that into play, that it had to go there dedicated?
That was a dedication that the legislature decided because we told the public we would, and in practice it was going there with the exception of probably the first 2 or 3 years, but this was a way to lock it in.
Well, stay right there. We'll come back and talk with Rose about all the other things the lottery is doing and swamp people. She knows Troy Landry. Stay right there. You know, a lot of people are happy to see Rose Hudson, and more importantly, the Louisiana Lottery next to her name, because so many people play your games really every day, literally every day. What part of Louisiana is the most fertile or the hot spot for people buying?
I mean, you can imagine that our New Orleans neighbors are, the population in New Orleans is higher, and so hence we've got a lot of winners, a lot of players in the New Orleans area. They're excited about our games, but really all over the state, you'd be surprised. I mean, we've had a winner just on this recent Powerball run, a $50,000 winner in Iowa, Louisiana. So waterproof.
And then the big one was hit also earlier this week, right? So somebody's very happy right now.
Yes, a couple of tickets in out of state, so we won't mention those.
Well, so how does that process work? Like, let's say they play the numbers, then their numbers hit. They see that those are their numbers.
Yes.
Do you call them or do they call you?
Oh, they call
They call you?
So what happens is, what past experience is, we will hear from, for a Powerball jackpot, let's say, we will hear from a player's attorney, usually after a period of time, and they want to know what's the process for them to claim. Sometimes the player will come in, sometimes we've had the attorney come in with some, LLC documents.
I bet they develop a whole lot of cousins and distant
Well,
relatives.
we've had one player come in. He came in with a host of relatives.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm sure. And so then so how you take the taxes out before you give them the cash?
Right. We don't know your tax situation, so we withhold about 35%, and then when you file your taxes, then you kind of settle up with Uncle Sam.
Yes, indeed. What about sports betting? You've been helping with that.
Yes.
What is the state's game plan now that this is here in terms
Oh my
of managing
goodness.
it?
So our involvement, sports betting passed during the 2021 legislative session. So you've got 20 licenses out there for the casinos.
Okay.
And then there's one license through the lottery.
Okay.
That's only for your Class A retail establishments or retail establishments that sell alcohol.
Right.
So they will have a kiosk and a mobile app set aside just for those types of establishments through us.
Through you.
Yes.
So will you remain over it, or will the state create?
No, that's ours to manage.
What are your protocols to make certain that the games are fair, anti-fraud protocols? Because I know you have to have really a big game plan to make certain people aren't cheating.
Well, and it's a wealth of things, some that I cannot discuss.
Understand.
But certain things that we have to do that start, let's say with our scratch-off tickets, that start with our printing partner out of state and the protocols that they have, both with checking their employees. They have background checks that they go through. You can't take your cell phone into the plant. When I go to the plant, I can't take my cell phone. I go through security. There are several layers. If you look at a scratch-off ticket, there's several layers of that latex.
Yeah.
There's lots of security that goes into just putting a scratch-off ticket through the printing press.
Yeah.
And then so much security to get it from there to us, security on our end, with cameras and the cages that we use in the warehouse and everything. So that's just on the scratch-off ticket side. And then, of course, there's a lot of technical security associated with our, what we call the terminal games, pick 3, pick 4, all the games that come out of the terminal. Has access to the drawings, both here and out of state for those Powerball and Mega Millions drawings.
How has COVID impacted what you and your operation is
So,
doing?
it's odd to say that with COVID hitting us in 2020, the 2020-2021 fiscal year was our best year ever. And you can connect that to the fact that our retail partners were considered essential. Those grocery stores and convenience stores, they stayed open. And oddly enough, our players couldn't go to the casino, perhaps not video poker, and so this was a little bit of entertainment for our players, and they were still able to access that product. But, and so once we saw that was happening, well, then we had to make adjustments in terms of how we allowed players to claim their prizes, because we closed all of our offices for a period of time. So we used the mail, U.S. mail. We started doing appointments and letting people come into the office, spaced out. But ultimately, we were able to come back into the office. But we had an excellent year, but we still continue to experience, the effects with our staffing.
Yeah.
And also supplies and our vendor partners, et cetera.
I got 30 seconds quickly here. What's your goal for 2022?
Big money. Big money. Another $600+ million.
Look, Mel's holding out his credit card over there behind the camera already, ready for you. Rose, thank you. Will you come back?
Absolutely will.
Rose Hudson.
Buy your ticket.
You see? Coming up, let's talk about broadband in Louisiana. An amazing opportunity is coming to our state, and the man at the wheel will tell you all about it next. Vaneeth Iyengar is the first executive director of Connect LA, which is out of the State Office of Broadband, formerly with Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom's office over economic development. This is brand new here, Vaneeth, and it's a big deal for Louisiana.
Absolutely.
The country's finally taking advantage of an opportunity to expand broadband. Let's first define the issue for people watching. Why is it a problem?
So I don't have to belabor to the folks that were impacted, which is really all of us, both professionally and personally, because of the pandemic, that there was a big gap between those that did have internet and those that didn't have internet.
Right.
And so when we start to look at the numbers and we start to look at the depth of the problem, in Louisiana today, 1.5 million folks do not have internet, either because of one of four issues.
Okay.
They lack a device. They can't afford it, they don't have access to it, and they lack the digital literacy. And so our office was put together through support from the governor's office and the legislature to solving that problem, to solve it by 2029.
2029. And in defining the problem for the average person watching us here on television who may not have a reality that says, I don't have internet or broadband, let's talk about the ROI. Of giving expanded access to all of Louisiana.
So it's large, right? If you start to take a look at just focusing on rural small businesses, the U.S. Chamber and Amazon and a bunch of companies came together to put together some analysis. And what's really interesting is if we were to increase digital access and digital literacy just focusing on rural small businesses throughout Louisiana, we're talking about the creation of 4,000 plus new jobs, $200 million in incremental payroll, $1.5 billion in sales. And
Hang on a second. Run through that one more time.
Yeah. So I think what's really interesting is, broadband has the ability to be that game changer, regardless of where you live, whether it's East Carroll, EBR, Cameron Parish, St. James, Orleans, wherever.
Right.
And it affects people in different ways.
Yeah.
It impacts the farmers
right.
With a huge ROI from a precision agriculture perspective. It helps, obviously, teachers, students, parents when it comes to productivity. It helps rural small businesses, and that's when, helping increase digital access will substantially increase revenue. And that's why we feel broadband is such a game changer in the state of Louisiana, because it impacts people in different ways, but all for the better.
Well, you and I were talking before we sat down, and you, myself, and Rose Hudson about it, and she was excited to hear about this, and a lot of people are, because it's been something we've been talking about forever. During COVID right now, and we'll talk about that more later, with kids having to go virtual, especially in poorer communities, if you don't have access to the internet, you're completely cut off.
Yeah, and the challenge is, especially in areas that are poor, and I'll tell you, 47% of that 1.5 million folks are African American, and 47% of those that are impacted are Hispanic households. So it's summarily impacting both African American and Hispanic households significantly more than others. But nonetheless, to your point, if we're talking about fundamentally affording basic internet, and the ability to access internet then becomes a challenge, then it becomes a huge detriment to then suddenly giving someone a device and then telling them you need to start suddenly within 24, 36 hours, pivot to virtual schooling. And so that's a challenge.
Having worked in economic development here in the parish and then now doing this, I don't know that the public always gets the concept of why investments like these are so essential to so many areas. Thriving communities are least likely to be riddled by crime and some of the other things that go on. That's why this is so essential, correct?
It's huge, because if you think about the downstream impacts that broadband's going to have and the work that our office is going to execute over the now and into the next couple of years, think about the number of jobs that are going to inherently be created, because there's fundamentally going to be a lot of construction work. There's the construction, operations, and maintenance of these networks that are going to occur between now and over the next 10 to 15 years, which is why we have strongly encouraged companies that work with us and with our office to partner with the Louisiana Community College Technical System to develop in advance workforce development plans. Because I'll tell you, Clay, what's really interesting, we spend a ton of time traveling around the state. Broadband inherently is a very unique challenge that impacts people differently, whether you live in East Carroll, Cameron, Avoyelles, Tangipahoa, or what have you. And so the degree of that challenge is based on access, affordability, and literacy. However, where these jobs could be created is local, right? If people are starting to construct networks in East Carroll, those are jobs that can be developed and created locally in East Carroll. And so the construction, maintenance, and operations will create a lot of jobs. But the beneficiaries, think about remote workforce. Think about the number of jobs that could be created as a result of people now who can work from home and earn a decent wage, right? Doing a variety of different things as a result of broadband.
So we're going to take a quick break and come back because the parallel line of expanding broadband with this shift to more of a virtual work environment is essential. We'll come back and continue with Vaneeth. Stay right where you are. Happy New Year, people. Glad to have you here on WBRZ Plus. Our second show of 2022 will feature a conversation with Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. Vaneeth worked for Mayor Broome as she began her administration transitioning away to take over Connect LA, and we were talking going into break about how big this is. So companies who decided to allow employees to stay home and work virtually, many of them are not transitioning back. They're allowing a huge portion of their workforce to stay at home. In Baton Rouge, this may not be as much of an issue as it is in some of the more rural parishes. So there is an economic tie to that as well.
No, absolutely. If you start to think about the kinds of jobs that could be created as a result of increasing and improving broadband, a lot of that work could be done at home, right? For instance, the Heartland Foundation, which is a foundation based out of Bentonville, Arkansas, with sort of loose affiliations with Walmart. They do some really interesting work when it comes to economic analysis in the heartland of the U.S. And what they identified as a result of broadband and as a result in this shift to a virtual environment is that customer service agents, for example, is a great opportunity given the growth of that segment to uplift people out of poverty into sort of middle income status. So if you think about the folks that live in different parts of the state who want to earn 10, 15, $16, $17 an hour wages doing customer service, doing a variety of different things, increasing both access, making it affordable, and most importantly, increasing digital literacy is going to be critical towards the success of eliminating the digital divide, along with uplifting folks that are in below the poverty line to a place where they can live comfortably.
So your target is to do this by 2029. What is your game plan?
Look, it's a very ambitious game plan. We talk less in planning and really focus on tactics. But I'll tell you what we've done over the last 7 months. You know, we started this office, we staffed up this office, we worked with the legislature and the governor's office to create the state's first broadband grant program, and we've executed the first round of the grant program, which we're going to release the results next week in terms of number of applications,
right,
et cetera. So from basically in the last 9 months, we've moved considerably, probably to the 4th and 5th inning in terms of execution and planning. This year is going to be a big year for us.
Okay.
It's going to be a foundational year because you're going to have 3 different distinct funding projects all geared towards addressing access. You've got the Rural Digital Opportunities Fund, RDOF, right? A lot of those projects will be underway in the first half of this year. You've got our grant program called Gumbo, which we'll start to execute in terms of construction this year. And then what we think we're going to get from the infrastructure bill. So we've put together a 5-year outline of what we think we're going to receive, not only from the infrastructure bill, but priority areas and focus points. And once we've talked to folks and stakeholders and a variety of different people, then we'll start to execute on that 5-year outline.
Well, a little less than a minute, but I'll tell you, this is going to be a game changer for a lot of things that we do here. Even some things that people may not even imagine will be made more convenient because of this. And I'll ask you the same question I asked Rose. Your goal for 2022?
So 22, it's all about execution. And it's all about executing our current grant program, which is $177 million. It's money that we got from the American Rescue Plan, a specific pot of money focused on addressing remote access and broadband. So the biggest goal is to announce the awards for the first $90 million of that 177 this coming March, and then run second round of the Gumbo grant money after talking to the legislature back in early June and July. We then get ready for the infrastructure bill and the infrastructure money that we think we're going to receive substantially starting in the fall.
So you'll come back later this quarter and we'll
Absolutely.
talk about that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm excited about what you're doing, and I think it's going to be a game changer for Louisiana. Listen, folks, if you haven't done so yet, sign up for the 21st Century Business Forum. This month, you'll see my interview with Drew Brees. It's pretty interesting. Man's got a big brain, and he'll tell you how and why he's still going to be relevant. Next week, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. Have a great weekend.